Ask anyone for the tallest mountain on Earth, and you'll almost always get the same answer: Everest. That's a good answer. It's just not the only one, because tallest isn't really one question. How you measure it, and where you decide to start counting from, changes who wins. Measure from the bottom up, and there's a mountain bigger than Everest. Measure by distance from the center of the planet, and a different one takes the title. And the tallest mountain anyone has ever found isn't on Earth at all. We're going to visit all of them, and by the end you'll see why what's the tallest has more than one honest answer. Start with the one everybody knows. Above sea level, nothing on Earth beats Everest, 8,849 meters. That's the altitude where the air nearly gives out, where the temperature drops well below -30, and the sky overhead turns from blue to almost black. Everest sits in the Himalayas, on the border between Nepal and China, and surveyors are still fine-tuning its height. 8,849 meters is the figure Nepal and China most recently agreed on together. Here's something worth pausing on. The whole planet has only 14 mountains above 8,000 meters, 14. And all of them are in Asia, packed into two neighboring ranges, the Himalayas and the Karakoram. The Americas don't have one. Neither does Africa or Europe. Earth put every single one of its 8,000ers in the same corner of the map. Why there? Because India is crashing into Asia. The Indian plate has been pushing into the Eurasian plate for millions of years, and where they meet, the crust crumples and lifts. That's where these mountains come from, and they're still going up by a few millimeters a year. The second tallest peak isn't a Himalayan neighbor of Everest. It's K2 over in the Karakoram on the border between Pakistan and China at 8,611 meters. It's more than 200 meters shorter than Everest, and climbers will tell you it's far more dangerous. There are no easy roads up K2. The weather can flip within hours, and over the years a much larger share of people who tried it never came back than on Everest. Everest is taller. K2 is the one that kills you. Third place goes to Kangchenjunga, 8,586 meters on the border between Nepal and India. Everest, K2, Kangchenjunga, those are the three tallest on the planet, as long as you're measuring from sea level. And that from sea level part is the catch. It's only one of the rules you could use. So what happens if we change it? Try measuring a mountain from its base to its summit instead of from the waterline up. That feels fairer. Everest doesn't begin at 0. It already sits on the Tibetan plateau, several kilometers up before the mountain itself even starts. A big chunk of its famous height was a gift from the ground underneath it. Now go a few thousand kilometers out into the Pacific to Hawaii and a mountain called Mauna Kea. Above the water, it's only 4,207 meters, about half of Everest, nothing special to look at. But the shoreline isn't its real base. Its base is the seafloor. Measure the whole thing, from its foot on the ocean bottom to its peak, and you get around 10,200 meters. Sit with that for a second. More than 10 kilometers from base to top, close to 1.5 kilometers taller than Everest. The catch is that almost 6 kilometers of it are underwater, so we never see them. Drain the ocean and Mauna Kea would loom over the landscape so completely that Everest would look small next to it. The tallest mountain measured from its own base isn't in the Himalayas at all. It's in Hawaii. There's still one more way to do this, and it produces a third winner. Ask which patch of solid ground sits farthest from the center of the Earth. You'd guess Everest, since it's the highest. It isn't, and the reason is the shape of the planet. Earth isn't a perfect sphere. It spins, and the spin makes it bulge out at the equator, where the planet is wider than it is pole to pole. That bulge adds more than 10 kilometers of thickness. So picture a mountain standing almost exactly on the equator. It gets a free boost from the planet's own shape. That mountain is Chimborazo, a volcano in Ecuador. Above sea level it's 6,263 meters, clearly shorter than Everest. But it sits right on the equatorial bulge, so its summit ends up about 6,384 kilometers from the center of the Earth, while Everest's summit is only about 6,382. Chimborazo wins by roughly 2 kilometers. If you want to stand on the spot on Earth's surface that's farthest from the planet's core, skip Everest and climb Chimborazo. Its summit is you can get to space without leaving the ground. So that's 3 mountains and 3 answers that are all true. Everest is highest above the sea. Mauna Kea is tallest from its base. Chimborazo reaches farthest from the center of the Earth. Each one wins a different question. While people argue about which one really counts, let's do something most lists skip, go around the whole planet and find the highest point on each continent. Every landmass has its own. South America first. In the Argentine Andes stands Aconcagua, 6,961 meters. It's the highest mountain in the Western Hemisphere and the highest anywhere outside Asia. Nothing in the Americas, Europe, Africa, or Antarctica tops it. Head north to Alaska for Denali, 6,190 meters, the high point of North America. Denali has a quirk: it rises off a fairly low plain, so the climb from base to summit is one of the biggest on Earth, taller even than the part of Everest that pokes above its plateau. Africa next. Out of the Tanzanian savanna, standing completely alone, rises Kilimanjaro, 5,895 meters. It isn't part of a range. It's a single volcano, and it wears a cap of snow almost on the equator, which still looks like it shouldn't be possible. Europe's highest point is Elbrus, in the Caucasus, 5,642 meters. Another dormant volcano, this one with 2 snowy peaks, and it stands taller than anything in the Alps. Down on the coldest continent, Antarctica, the Vinson Massif rises out of the permanent ice at 4,892 meters. It's one of the hardest places on the planet to reach. Nobody ends up there by accident. You go on a planned expedition or you don't go at all. The last continental crown belongs to Oceania Kangchenjunga, a sharp pyramid of rock on the island of New Guinea, 4,884 meters. The strange part is that it sits almost on the equator, deep in the tropics, and still has glaciers on top, tropical ice under a tropical sun. That's 6 continents and 6 peaks. The 7th and tallest belongs to Asia, and of course it's Everest, the highest point of its continent and of the whole planet. Climbers call this set the 7 summits, and reaching all of them is one of the great goals in mountaineering. We promised one more twist, so here it is. Everything so far has been Earth, but the tallest mountain we know of anywhere is on Mars, and it's called Olympus Mons. It's a dead volcano, and the scale of it is hard to take in. Side to side it covers about as much ground as France, hundreds of kilometers across. Top to bottom it's roughly 22 kilometers, nearly 3 times the height of Everest. You could stack 3 Everests and only just reach its summit. Why did something that big grow on Mars and not here? Because Mars doesn't have moving plates. The volcano sat over one hot spot for thousands of years and kept piling up, with nothing to stop it. On Earth, plate movement would have dragged it off the hot spot long before it got that tall. On Mars there was nowhere for it to go, so it became the tallest known mountain in the solar system. So there's the whole tour. Everest, highest above sea level. Mauna Kea, tallest from its base. Chimborazo, farthest from the center of the Earth. The 7 summits, one for each continent. And Olympus Mons, the record holder no one on Earth will ever climb. Which one is really the tallest? You know the answer now. It depends on how you measure and where you start. That's why the question doesn't have one answer, just the one you decide to go with. So which is the tallest to you and why? Everest, highest above the sea. Mauna Kea hiding most of itself under the ocean, or Chimborazo reaching closest to space? Tell us in the comments. Next time we're going the other direction, down to the parts of the planet almost nobody has ever reached, the deepest points on Earth. If there's a highest of everything, there's a deepest too.